Hello and welcome to the Wednesday check-in here on Landy's Crypto Corner. Today is March 21st, 2025, and Bitcoin has made new all-time highs. In this case, Bitcoin coming in just shy of $111,000, so right in the zone that we talked about, 110 to 112 on Monday. If it does break out above here, I'm looking 112, 115, and then 115 to 120. And you can see that if it does start to get above or push the upper second standard deviation of the Bollinger Bands here, probably looking at about $112,000. So closes above there, we can start targeting, 112 to 115, and possibly even further. Upper third is right here at the $116,000. Bitcoin holding a nice uptrend here. Last high or low on a closing basis is going to be right around the swings here on the bottom side here at 100,700. So as long as Bitcoin is hanging out above $100,000, it's essentially sideways and up from here. Let's see if Bitcoin is in the territory where it can avoid bearish divergence. It does look as though it needs about one more tick. So probably 112 to avoid that bearish divergence. Otherwise, it will still throw it if it does put in a high lower than there on a closing basis. So I did want to take a look at Bitcoin today. I know that I said we're probably going to do some alts. We will take a look at a few alts today, but I actually want some feedback on which alts you want me to take a look at, because this Friday afternoon Pacific Standard Time, probably after around 2 o'clock or so, which would be 5 p.m. Eastern, I will do a live stream. And in that live stream, I'll take a look at Bitcoin very quickly, take a look at the market, and then I'll take whatever requests are posted below this video for different alts and chart them. They can be, your major chains, or they can be meme coins if you like, as long as they have some history to chart. Otherwise, it's going to be more boring fundamentals stuff and not really worth looking at. But I'm not looking for the next shitcoin runner, by the way. This is like, if you want legitimate technical analysis on something, I'll just do it right there in the live stream. I will take a look at ETH, Sol, and Sui today. Might even check on Monero, as that is a popular request as of late, because the structure was looking very bullish, especially on some longer term timeframes for a potential breakout to much higher price levels. But that's provided Bitcoin continues, in my opinion, as it will pull the rest of the market up by its bootstraps, even though we do see alts underperforming a bit. The actual critical zone, I need to readjust this. So let me go ahead, and the 77 read is the area, so 111. I think it was the 77 read. Let's go ahead and just double check this real quick. So 77 RSI read is what we need to see Bitcoin above. Currently, the read is right at about 76.34, 76.78. So we need to see closes on RSI come in above 77 to avoid a bearish divergence, and that will occur on closes. Looks like above 111, because I think I still have this set to 77 from the other day. I do. Now, if it is going to push up further, I did want to show the kind of extreme level up here at the 80 read would put Bitcoin at about 113,500. That will update day over day, especially if we start seeing closes above that 77 read. So, it looks like the bulls still want some more. I mentioned last week there's still juice left to squeeze on this move, and we see that it is, occurring right now. Again, 110 to 112 is the zone. If we start dropping below 110, we can look back here. We won't mark this out too much, but let's go ahead and turn on local support and resistance just so we have a frame of reference for the daily here. Now the support side structure is essentially the 108 to the 106 level. That's going to be kind of the zone on pullbacks to pay attention to. And then, of course, we have the close open back test of what was now the prior high, and that is at that 109.30 360 area. So we start trading below there. It's fair game down to essentially 106 to 108 in the green zone here. Anywhere below there, we're looking back to 104, 105 area to the 101. If we see 101 dropped, pay very close attention to the last higher low swing at the 100,700. Could it swing below it? Yeah. At 100,000, I wouldn't be looking for immediate downside moves to continue unless it starts closing below this, and $100,000 to go retest essentially 98 to the top side of this consolidation around the point of control here at 96. So 98 to $95,000, and then possibly back down to that last higher low in a weekly. As I mentioned, this is a trend break on the weekly for Bitcoin. At some point, whether it's here or higher, it will put in a high. When it does so, be very keenly aware that the setup is to look for, on the downside move, any kind of higher low or equal low setup. That would be your trend reversal setup. And, this is just an example, but off of a trend break like this, if this was going to be the high or higher, you look for the higher low setup. That is your trend reversal setup, and then your trend reversal confirmation will be breaking above wherever this high comes in. So that is what we'd be looking for. Otherwise, it is looking for a deviation of this downtrend here, which is statistically less likely, especially the higher that Bitcoin goes. So that's where we would be looking for a deviation, and the higher low equal low setup is the higher beta play there. So, and in this case, we just wait, let Bitcoin keep moving. From the weekly time frame perspective, as I've mentioned before, 120 is on the board on any closes above, right around 111, 112. And then above there, we can start entertaining trips to go up and test around 120. That number will update fairly aggressively, especially if Bitcoin closes above the upper second, but even above the upper first that we did get a back test on, right around that 102, 300 area. Is kind of the zone of volatility between 102.3 to about 112. If it does start to break out above there, like I said, 112 to 115, 115 to 120 is fair game. And then we come back to it later for some of the more aggressive targets to the upside. The major one being the confluent areas of interest at this 1414, both local and macro fib level. This is at 128,000, so about 128 to $130,000 based off the local fib extensions. And then there is the macro fib extensions, which also line up right there at the 128. And let's see, do I have that still? Just so I can show that off. And then we're going to go take a look at ETH, Sol, Sui, and I guess we'll take a look at XMR real quick. So, but you'll see 128 here on a macro fib scale. These are log fibs. So when you have confluent areas like that and other types of analysis, both Elliott wave and harmonic and pattern, all lining up in the same area, you should pay attention. So, and 128 to 130 is kind of the general area of interest. But, looks good. Another higher low in the monthly. Looks great, especially if it can finish out the month up here. I saw this floating around, and I actually had to go double check it. This here would be the first quarterly. I forget, there was a few people posting around, and forgive me for not giving credit, but I had to go check, and I did on the index chart. This actually, if it does close like anything like this above the 109,360, this would be the first quarterly bullish engulfing candle. We have not seen a bullish engulfing candle on the quarterly, so I think that's pretty interesting as well, considering some of the thesis that I put out there regarding longer term time frame price action even above the quarterly. But let's go ahead and take a look at crypto, and we'll check on Ethereum real quick. We're going to do the quick and dirty version of analysis here. Hey, above that 2600 area, I'd be looking for it to test again up to $27,000 to $3,000. You can see the daily showing that as potential above 2650 or so, especially on closes. But 27 to 3K is a fairly obvious overhead resistance area to pay attention to. To the downside, you just, if you're in ETH, you want to see closes maintain above 23.23 right there. So pretty simple stuff. If we go to Solana, Solana needs to recover the 180 to 190 region to go test 200 to 210. That's the big area of interest overhead, and maintain this last higher low swing at around 159.50 or 160. Start seeing the basis here at 165 breakdown. That's going to get tested. So pay attention, pay very close attention if you're in Solana to that. And again, I need to stress this with Solana, just like Ethereum, it's got a lot of ground. It dumped off hard, and it dumped off hard from an all-time high. So we need to see a lower high on the weekly for this to actually, start to create some constructive price action. Right now, it's just mean reversion on the weekly. So same for Ethereum. Just keep a close eye on it. Don't get too distraught when you see, very highly likely see lower highs on a weekly time frame. And keep an eye on Bitcoin, because where Bitcoin goes, the US dollar pairs of your favorite alts and memes will likely go. Although memes tend to buck the trend and just roll with Bitcoin. We didn't actually see that in the same way on this last big pump up. So we'll check on that on Friday. Let's go ahead and take a look at SWI. SWI dipped right into our purple zone there that we've been talking about, and presented some nice higher low opportunities on the daily, and looks good. This purple zone, I can get into. You can see it nearly got hit on the swing down on the 19th there. What a beautiful area of interest, by the way. But I'll stop patting myself on the back for that one and say that any closes below 358, and this is headed down into the 350 and possibly lower to retest this low. But it's got some high side daily structure over here, just below my little purple zone here that it dipped into. Trade above the upper first and its last high at 406, and it's a run for the highs. 420 in the cards, and then up to that 430, and I could see this thing going for the full 450 to 475 up there as well. That's fair game. And let's go ahead and go over to Monero. I don't have my Monero chart up here, so let's go. I have a Monero pair, but it's not like the full history. This is what many people have been pinging me about, this big consolidation that has resulted in this very, very big upside move for Monero. I have to go out on the weekly for this one because I want to note that I haven't actually checked for you on one of these recorded videos, the weekly for Monero. And I want to note that this was a compression into expansion, and this is a legit expansion with a breakout. So there's a breakout of the uptrending structure here. Nice higher highs, higher lows on the weekly. Got that breakout above the weekly at 245, moving from compression into expansion off of a higher low, and then boom, it's up. It's even this thing's likely going to go test its all-time high from the look on the weekly. Especially if it closes anything like this, then I could definitely see the 520 area being in the cards here, and maybe higher when looking at the monthly. That is in a massive breakout. Man, if it closes anything like this on the monthly, this is a beaut. We can just take you in just to let. There's two different polls here for fibs, by the way. So sorry to those that aren't interested in Monero. You're gonna have to bear with me for a moment, because there is, if this starts to break out on a monthly time frame above around 517, 520, depending on your exchange, I would have to start entertaining, as high up as that 1.618 after a big consolidation like this in a monthly time frame, which is about $1,400 to $1,500 long term. Like, we're talking long term, but definitely we'd have the 600 to 700. And then the 600 to 800, kind of 600 to 800 area to pay attention to, and then up to $1,000 is fair game, especially closing anything like this above, with expansion like this after a really crazy compression. on a longer term time frame, it either results in a swing of the all-time high structures up here on a monthly basis, especially on the close there at that 428, which just so happens to be an 88.8% or 888 level. Shout out to my boy Torque. Now, it's either going to result in a swing of this and then a violent rejection, or this gets continuation on a breakout well in expansion, and it starts going for, the $600 to $800 areas, 1,000, possibly 1,500 after that as a very long-term target. We are talking monthly after all, and this is, can it do it? That's really what you'd have to evaluate is, can it actually get above and close above that high and really go on the rip roar and run that many have been waiting for over there. That remains to be seen. Sorry, a little bit longer on Monero, only because I haven't charted it in a very long time for you guys, either on a live stream or on a recorded video. And we're all pretty familiar with my targets for some of the others. So in terms of local areas of interest, for Monero on the daily, just, closing above the last higher low, which was really clean. The bid's been strong on this one, around 330 to 332. And then this is looking good. So even a nice close above the upper second, re-expansion of that 428 area. That is the monthly close. That's the next big target to the upside. So that's going to do it for me today. Bitcoin on new all-time highs. Keep a close eye on the 110 to 112 region. Starts to break out, 112 to 115. Take it one step at a time. Don't be discouraged if you got sidelined, because it is still, again, just a trend break on the weekly, which means that it will come back down. And when it corrects hard, that's when you actually really want to pay attention if you've been sidelined. Otherwise, make sure you're paying yourself consistently. That is financial advice. Always pay yourself, leave some on the table, or a lot on the table, but make sure you get paid, right? Pay yourself for your patience in these markets, and you can never go wrong. With that, you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening. No matter where you are in the world, please trade safe. And of course, as always, stay safe. With all that being said, Landy out. Take care. See you Friday.